So good morning. In the previous class, we have started Unit 4. So what is the title of the Unit 4? It is Optical Sources. Okay. So we are discussing about optical sources. So what are the various types of optical sources? Generally, we prefer two types of optical sources. What are those? One is LED, another one is laser diode. One is LED, light emitting diode. Second one is laser diode. Okay. So in the previous class, we discussed some introduction about optical sources, like what are the types of LEDs, what are the types of optical sources. Okay. So what is coherence nature, what is incoherence nature. Okay. So why we prefer laser diodes, when we prefer laser diodes, when we prefer LEDs, light emitting diodes, all those we discussed. Okay. So in order to go ahead and discuss about the two optical sources, that is LED and laser diode structures, that is LED structure and laser diode structure. So we need to have we need to review small fundamental concepts related to energy bands. Already we discussed energy bands in the previous session also. Okay. So we know that the conduction properties of any semiconductor can be clearly explained using energy band diagrams. Okay. So in a semiconductor, valence electrons occupy a band of energy levels called as valence band. Okay. When some external energy in the form of heat or in the form of voltage, potential, okay, is applied to the semiconductor, the electrons present in the valence band will be shifting into the conduction band. Okay. So this is what we learned. Okay. And also we came to know that in a pure crystal, the conduction band is completely empty and the valence band is completely full of electrons. That is, there is no conduction, there is no proper conduction in case of pure crystals. That is nothing but intrinsic semiconductor, you can say. Okay. So generally these two bands are separated by what type of gap? It is called as energy gap. These two bands, that is valence band and conduction band, are generally separated by energy gap. Okay. So or it is also called as band gap. Okay. So in which there is no energy. Okay, in which no energy exists. Okay. Right. This is what we discussed in the previous session. Okay. So we go further learning the extensions of the energy band diagrams. Okay, or band gap related concepts. Okay. So actually it is this is a new concept to you. Okay. So direct and indirect band gap semiconductors. Okay, these direct, indirect or energy band diagrams, direct band gap semiconductor, indirect band gap semiconductor, all these are essential to learn, as I said, to understand the functionality of the LED structures or laser diode structures. Okay, because these are the two sources which are used as optical sources in the optical communication transmitter part. Okay. That is the reason the working of LED as well as laser should be thoroughly known to each and every one. Okay. So semiconductors are classified into two types. Okay. Not that what you have learned when you are in second year, that is intrinsic semiconductor, extrinsic semiconductor. I am not discussing about that. Here, depending upon the band gap, semiconductors are classified as direct band gap and indirect band gap materials. Okay. Direct band gap and indirect band gap semiconductor. There are direct band gap semiconductors as well as there are indirect band gap semiconductors. This direct band gap and indirect band gap is nothing but shape as well as momentum of the conduction as well as valence bands. Shape of the band as well as the function of the momentum. Okay. So, what is this indirect band gap? Indirect, what is a direct band gap? This is direct. Okay, what is a direct band gap? Semiconductor material. You can see there is a figure here. Okay, so we know what is there here means there is one band here. It is a conduction. It is a valence band. There is another band. It is a conduction band. These two are separated by band gap. These two are separated by band gap. Okay. Okay. You can see here the top of the this is the top of the valence band. Okay, top of the valence band. The top of the valence band is facing the bottom of the conduction band. The top of the valence band is facing the bottom of the conduction band. They are opposite to each other. The conduction band bottom, the valence band top are facing each other. Generally, when you have studied the EDC, electronic device and subjects, the fundamental concepts you have learned, there you have drawn a different type of band energy band diagram. So it looks like this. Okay, this is conduction band. Say this is valence band, and the gap between these two are called as band gap. So we studied like this actually. For our understanding sake, we represented a rectangular box with the conduction band, another rectangular box with the valence band. Practically, the shape will be not a rectangular. Okay, so it will be in some random nature. Okay, it has some random nature. Okay, so you can see here, this is the conduction band, this is the valence band. You can see the bottom of the conduction band occur at the same value of the momentum of the top of the valence band, or you can say the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band occur at the same momentum value, whatever it may be. Okay, or in simple way to understand is the conduction band bottom, this is the bottom, and the valence band top will be facing each other. In such case, we have some prior knowledge related to photons. That is, whenever, for example, these are all the electrons. Whenever the electron is falling into the lower state or valence band, what happens? It releases energy in the form of photon. Okay, the same thing happens in the direct band gap semiconductor materials. The same thing happens in the direct band gap semiconductor materials. What happens in the direct band gap semiconductor materials? The conduction band bottom and valence band top will be facing each other, have the same momentum. Okay, and when the electrons are falling from the conduction band to the valence band, what happens? The electrons releases the energy in the form of photons. This kind of semiconductor material is called as direct band gap semiconductor material. Okay, we move to another type of material, that is indirect band gap semiconductor material. What is that? Indirect band gap semiconductor material. What is indirect band gap semiconductor material? You can see the same figure actually, whatever the figure you have seen in the previous slide, the same figure is there here, but a small difference is you can observe. Okay, the bottom of the conduction band, say this is here it is not written, this is conduction band. is written this valence band. The bottom of the conduction band is not facing the top of the valence band. Means here the momentum of the two bands are not same, they are different. You can see the definition. The maximum energy of the valence band occurs at different value of momentum to the minimum of the conduction band. Okay, so the momentum of the conduction band and the valence band are not same. They don't occur at the same value. Okay, they have different values. In the previous case, that is direct band gap, what happened? The momentum is occurring at the same place. Okay, the minimum value of the conduction band is occurring at the maximum momentum value of the valence band in case of direct band gap semiconductor. In case of indirect band gap semiconductor, the maximum energy of the or maximum momentum of the valence band is not occurring at the minimum of the conduction band, minimum energy of the conduction band, occurring at different places, at different energy levels. Okay, so what happens in this case? So in such case, so for example, there are electrons here. For example, there are electrons. So the same case, electron is falling from conduction band to valence band. Okay. So actually, the electron will be losing its energy in the form of photon. That we already know. But in case of indirect band gap semiconductor materials, okay, there is another concept which is also running in parallel to the release of photon energy release. Okay, so what is that concept? In direct band gap semiconductor materials, indirect, not indirect. Okay, don't get confused. In indirect band gap semiconductor materials, okay, the atoms will get vibrated due to this different value of momentum of the energy of the conduction band and the valence band. The atoms will get vibrated. Okay, due to this vibration, energy will be released. Due to this vibration, a continuous energy will be released in the form of phonons. This is photon, this is phonon. Phonon is different, photon is different. Okay, in indirect band gap semiconductor materials, okay, when the electron is falling from conduction band to valence band, photon energy is released. Apart from photon energy, due to the vibration of the atoms in this material, another energy will be released continuously. That energy is called as phonon energy. Okay, so compared to photon energy is very, very high. Okay, so for example, E phonon energy is very much greater than photon energy. Okay, phonon energy is very much greater than photon energy. Where in indirect band gap semiconductor materials. In indirect band gap semiconductor materials. I hope you understood. These photon concepts are required to understand the operation of LED structures as well as laser diodes. Okay. Right. So next topic is LEDs. Okay. So generally LEDs are used as light sources. Okay. Based on two requirements. What are those? The first one is when the required bit rates are less than 100 to 200 Mbps. When the bit rate is less than 200 Mbps or it is in the range of it is less than 100 Mbps or less than 200 Mbps, okay, then the optical source can be used is LED. Okay, that is the first one. Second one is, this is the first one. Okay, what is the first one? When the required bit rates are less than 100 to 200 Mbps, then we use LED sources. The second one is when the required optical power, to be propagated in the optical fiber cable is should be in the order of tens of microwatts. Okay, 10 watts, 20 watts, 30 watts, like that. Okay, in the order of 10 watts, 10 microwatts. Okay, tens of microwatts. Generally, LEDs are preferred. What are the two requirements in using the LED light sources? One is when the required bit rates are less than 100 to 200 Mbps. The second one is when the required optical power is in the order of tens of microwatts. Generally, in these two cases, when these two are the requirements, okay, for an optical fiber cable, okay, for an optical communication, not optical fiber, optical communication, then generally LEDs are used as light sources or optical sources in the transmitter part. What are the advantages of the LEDs? Okay, so the first one is it is very simple to fabricate. LED is simple to fabricate. Okay. Second one is cost is low, very less cost. Okay. Next one is reliability. Okay. Next one is generally less temperature dependence. Okay. All are very favorable and conditions. Okay. Very simple. Okay. Simpler driver circuitry. Okay, a very low cost, less complex driver circuit is required when LED is used as a optical source in the optical communication transmitter part. Next one is linearity. All these are the advantages of LEDs. Okay. Next, coming to LED structures. So here, any LED structure should have some characteristics. Okay, advantage is different, application is different, requirement is different, and features or characteristics are different. Okay, so for an LED to be used in optical communication system, it should have some characteristics. What are those characteristics? Okay, so the first one is high radiance output. The second one is fast emission response time. Third one is high quantum efficiency. These are the general characteristics which are required for an LED structure, okay, to be used in optical communication system. So these are the characteristics the LED must possess, so that that particular LED can be used as optical source in the transmitter part. What is the radiance? Radiance is nothing but brightness. Radiance or brightness, both are same. Okay, so it is the optical power radiated in a unit area. This radiance is nothing but the optical power radiated in a unit area. Emission time or emission response time is nothing but a delay between the application of the current pulse and the emission of the light. What is meant by delay? When you apply the current pulse to the LED, how much time this LED is taking to emit the light. Okay, that small amount of delay, that small amount of time, okay, to emit the light after the application of current pulse, okay, is called as emission response time of the LED. Next one is quantum efficiency. It is related to the fraction of injected electron hole pairs that recombine radiatively. So when you apply the current pulse, okay, how many number of electron hole pairs are being generated? Okay, so that represents the quantum efficiency. Okay, if less number of electrons are being electron hole pairs are being recombined, less photon energy will be generated. If more number of electron hole pairs are recombined, what happens? More photon energy is released. Okay, so that is determined by that is indicated by the quantum efficiency. Okay, so this is what is actually I want to discuss. Okay, coming to LED structure, we discuss LED structures in detail in the coming class, but I want to give one information, small line to you so that you can refer the textbooks by the next class. So LED structures are three types. Okay, one is homojunction LED, another one is single junction LED, another one is double heterojunction LED. Homojunction LED, second one is, what is the second one? Single heterojunction LED, and the third one is double heterojunction LED. In the coming classes, we will be discussing about these types of LEDs. These are the three types of LED structures. Generally, we prefer single as well as double heterojunction LEDs. So, in the coming class,